So 2018 is quickly coming to a close, and we've had a whole bunch of awesome smartphone releases throughout the year. And today, we're here to talk about one of my favorite releases of 2018, the OnePlus 6T. Let's do it. Historically speaking, OnePlus has always been about offering flagship specs at really cheap prices. I believe the original OnePlus One launched at like $299. It was something ridiculously cheap. Now, you know as well as I do that a phone launching for $300 is bound to have its shortcomings, and the OnePlus One definitely was not a perfect phone. But as OnePlus has grown as a company, the phones they've been putting out have been getting really, really good. And the OnePlus 6T is as close as the company has come to producing a near perfect smartphone experience. So let's talk about what the OnePlus 6T does really well. Build quality and design. So you have soft touch glass on the back. You have an AMOLED screen up front with a notch so small it's earned the nickname teardrop notch. You have clicky and tactile buttons, and you have a USB-C port on the bottom. And the alert slider makes its return, which is always welcomed by hardcore OnePlus users. So you have all the ingredients to make a really well-built and good-looking phone, but there are some things you should know about the build quality overall. Three things actually. One, there is no headphone jack, so you will need a pair of USB-C headphones. If you don't have one of those, don't worry, OnePlus gives you a USB-C to 3.5mm dongle in the box for free. So partial thumbs up to OnePlus on that. Number two, single firing speaker on the bottom. It's not that the speaker sounds bad, it actually sounds relatively good, and you can even take it up to max volume with little distortion, but it's really easy to cover up, especially whenever you're using the phone in landscape and you're watching a video. If you're not careful, your thumb or your index finger can easily cover it up and you're not going to hear anything. And number three, there's still no official IP rating on the phone. So if you're someone who's prone to dropping your phone in pools or puddles or cups of water, or you spill stuff on it all the time, might not be the best phone for you, although it can take splashes, so it should hold up to some stuff, but obviously having no IP rating helps OnePlus keep the price down, so just know that there's no official way to actually know how much liquid the phone can handle. I also love how OnePlus continues to kind of tweak the design of their phone by releasing either limited edition or special edition colors of the 6T. So I actually have two. One is limited edition, and that's Thunder Purple, and one special edition, and that's the McLaren edition. So the Thunder Purple OnePlus 6T, it's really, really good looking. It features this gradient finish for the back glass, and the gradient finish also extends to the aluminum around the edges. So it starts off black for like the top 1/4 of the phone, and it slowly fades into this dark purple, and that dark purple slowly hits a brighter purple all the way at the bottom of the phone. And like I said, it also spans the aluminum edges, so it creates this really uniform gradient effect. That particular OnePlus 6T is already sold out. Like I said, that one was limited edition. The special edition OnePlus 6T that I have, the McLaren, that one features even more design enhancements. There's a carbon fiber pattern that's under glossy black finish, and around the bottom edges of the phone is a speed orange or papaya orange, whatever you want to call it, trail that spans from the bottom corners and goes all the way up to about half of the phone's length. And then that phone has black aluminum all around the edges. So that phone looks really nice too. But you can tell that OnePlus has really been priding themselves on the design and build of this phone with these cool colors that they're releasing. It's just about whether or not you can grab one before they sell out. Performance. So when I think about a phone's performance, really two things come to mind. The specs that you pack into the phone, obviously, but the kind of underrated one is how well your software works with those specs to create an even faster performance overall. So raw specs out of the way, the OnePlus 6T comes with a Snapdragon 845 and at least 6 gigs of RAM paired to 64 gigs of storage, or you can up it to 8 gigs of RAM paired to 128 gigs of storage, or 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. The Thunder Purple 6T that I have has 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. The special edition McLaren has 10 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. 100% honesty though, all those specs, they're going to perform really similarly, because whether you have 6, 8, or 10 gigs of RAM, Android will still perform the same because you're still getting Oxygen OS across all models of the OnePlus 6T. And that really brings me to the software. Oxygen OS is, in my opinion, the second best Android experience possible, with the first obviously being the Pixels software, but that's just because Google is the one who works on Android, so buying a phone direct from Google should give you the best software experience, right? It only makes sense. But Oxygen OS gets better with each iteration, and the OnePlus 6T comes with Android 9 Pie out of the box, and today, which is the 29th, the day of filming this video, both of my OnePlus 6Ts got the December security patch. So OnePlus is not only making their software really efficient and really fast, but they're also focusing on sending out timely security patch updates, and hopefully in the future, as major versions come out, timely software updates as well. So you're getting really good software, and you're pairing that really good software to top-of-the-line flagship specs. Performance on the OnePlus 6T is absolutely stellar, and I know there are even some cases of the OnePlus 5T or the OnePlus 6 actually lasting longer than last year's Pixel 2 in terms of kind of performance longevity. So OnePlus has already kind of proven themselves in making a phone that performs really well, and now they're also pairing that with quick software updates. So it's really good stuff. Another aspect of the 6T that's really impressed me is its battery life. I'm averaging like 4.5 hours to 5 hours of screen on time, and it's got a big battery, not the biggest, but it's sitting at 3,700 milliamp hours, so it's no Note 9 with 4,000, but it's also bigger than a large phone like the iPhone XS Max. So 4.5 hours to 5 hours of screen on time, I'd say is pretty good. And I do things like I play light games on it. I'm browsing the web, asking the assistant to do random things throughout the day, like tell me a joke or look up random facts or something like that. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, so I'm using the phone consistently throughout the day, and I'm still getting 4.5 hours to 5 hours of screen on time, which is really good. And then on top of that, you do get fast charging, which they had to rename dash charging, but you do get really, really fast charging with OnePlus phones as well. And on the McLaren edition OnePlus 6T, they've unveiled Warp Charge 30, which uses a 30-watt brick to deliver 50% juice in about 20 minutes. So you get really good battery life, but if you need to top off, it's also super, super quick. Just know that the phone does not come with wireless charging, but I think that's something that you can live with considering how fast the wired charging is. So battery life is definitely awesome. The camera on the 6T is also really good. So going back historically again, cameras have kind of always been the Achilles heel of OnePlus phones. They've been really good all around, but then whenever you get to the camera, some of the photos you would take were not so great, to put it lightly. But the 6T is really nice. It's got two lenses on the back, one 16 megapixel, that's your primary, and you've got a 20 megapixel telephoto. Both of them are f1.7. And in terms of recording video, you've got a plethora of options. So you've got super slow-mo, and you can even take it all the way to 480 frames per second if you drop the resolution down to 720p. But just regular recording, you can record in 720p, 1080, 30 and 60 frames, and even 4K 30 and 60 frames. And the videos it takes are really good, but I'm more impressed with the photos. So I took the OnePlus 6T with me to the Arboretum, and I took some videos, and I took quite a few photos, and I gotta say, it is really nice. Color accuracy is good. It deals with dynamic range well. The photos just look sharp, and some of them that you guys are looking at right now are so good that someone in the studio said you could actually print these out and frame them because they're that good. Is it to the level of the Pixel 3? No, but the Pixel 3 uses a lot of computational photography to make the photos look really good, and it's also like $300 more expensive. So did I expect it to be as good as the Pixel 3? No, but it can definitely hold its own, and to the majority of the people who are gonna buy this phone, they're just gonna think it takes really good photos. They're not gonna care to compare it to other phones. So camera quality and image quality is also really good on this phone. So the one, I guess, spec of the phone that we haven't touched on yet, where I feel the phone has the biggest room for improvement, is the display. So the OnePlus 6T comes with a 6.41-inch optic AMOLED display, and it's basically 1080p. It's good, but once you start using other higher caliber phones, like the iPhone XS, the Pixel 3 XL, definitely the Galaxy Note 9 or the S9, you start to realize that the display is just not quite there. It's not that the display is bad, but there's so many other super rich and saturated, bright, vibrant displays on the market. And once you go back to a display like this, it's a little difficult to get over that. Again, though, for the general user that's not in a situation like myself where I use all of the top quality phones that come out every single year, you're not going to care that much. And that's perfectly fine. I think it's an actual testament to how good the OnePlus 6T is that I feel like the display has the biggest room for improvement. And it's not even that the display is bad. It's just that in a market so saturated with super bright and vibrant displays, when you go back to this one, you're kind of just like, meh, it's good, not great. That's the best way to describe the display on this phone. But there is one thing, cool feature about this display that makes me absolutely love it, regardless of how it compares to other phones. And that's the in-display fingerprint sensor. So this is the first US-bound smartphone that has the fingerprint sensor built into the display. OnePlus said in their keynote they finally felt confident enough in the sensor speed to actually incorporate it. And I gotta say, it works really, really well. I have both of my thumbs registered, but for whatever reason, it's really gimmicky on my left thumb, which is the second finger that I set up. The primary finger that I set up to unlock it, it works really, really well. But sometimes, I'd say about 25% of the time, whenever I'm using my left thumb, it just doesn't work all that well. It fails, and then it'll quickly unlock the phone because I have Face Unlock set up as the secondary unlock system. So the in-display fingerprint sensor works really well a lot of the time, but there are some times where it's just kind of weird, especially if you have a second finger set up. Again, I really don't experience that issue with my right thumb, but I experience it way more often on my left thumb. So I don't know, maybe if you don't set up a second finger, but just know that the sensor is really fast and it works a lot of the time. And it's definitely my favorite feature built into this phone. And I hope to see more phones in 2019 adopt this feature. And who knows, it might even be better. So that just about covers everything about the OnePlus 6T. It's a phone that does a lot of things really, really well. And the shortcomings, if you can even classify them as shortcomings, are definitely not deal breakers and are things that are really not going to matter to a lot of people who aren't exposed to every single flagship phone that comes out every single day. So let's talk about pricing and availability. As of the time of this video, there are 5 options of the OnePlus 6T available online. You have the 6 gigs of RAM paired to 128 gigs of storage. That starts at $549. You have 8 gigs of RAM paired to 128 gigs of storage, and that's $579. And then you've got 8 gigs of RAM paired to 256 gigs of storage, and that's $629. Now, for those of you that want a little bit more out of the phone, if you do, there is the special edition McLaren available, and that's going to be 10 gigs of RAM paired to 256 gigs of storage for $699. So let's put it this way. The most expensive OnePlus 6T out there will get you 10 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, and it's still only $699, which is like what? $200 to $300 cheaper than the closest iPhone XS, and a couple $100 cheaper than a Pixel 3 XL. And you get probably 85 to 90% of what a lot of those phones can do. So yeah, the OnePlus 6T is a heck of a phone at a heck of a price, which is the reason why it's one of my favorite phones of 2018. So if you have the cash, you definitely won't regret it. And you can even now walk into your closest T-Mobile store and look at the phone in person before you buy, because OnePlus is officially partnered with T-Mobile, and they now also support Verizon. So they can now cover a lot more customers out there. So definitely something to keep in mind and consider heavily. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I hope you guys have a happy new year. happy holidays. Definitely don't forget to subscribe because we're going to start off 2018 by talking about our favorite phones. Sorry, we're going to start off 2019 by talking about our favorite phones of 2018. Can you believe I almost let that one slide into the video? Anyways, I'm getting out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Peace.